How's the weather treating us all today? Yeah, just 2 more minutes and we'll get into the business of the day fully. Let's just give that time to have others join us. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
Victoria, could you grant me permission to record this on my end as well?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I like going back to watch them so that we can compile questions and I can prepare for those questions or even produce more materials based on
The
the
com.
demand. Yeah,
Okay, that
or
was
areas of focus. Yeah.
fine. Fine. Sorry, Barrister Lucy, just 2 more minutes and then we'll get in fully with others
Okay.
that can join us. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the Legal Launch and Learn. You're welcome. You're welcome. Today's topic is a very interesting one, and the topic for today is parenting and custody matters. As parenting and custody matters are amongst the most important issues any family can face because it directly affects the well-being, the stability, and the future of the child or children, as the case may be. While separation or family disputes can be challenging for parents, the central focus should always be the best interest of the kids. As sad as this may sound, this is the reality of most families, right? And so today's discussion is an opportunity to explore how parents, caregivers, legal professionals, and support systems can work together to create healthy parenting arrangements that prioritizes the children and create a stable environment for them at least to strive, regardless of what the family circumstances might be. And as always, we have our beautiful guest speaker, Barrister Lucy, here with us. I'll just do a little introduction of Barrister Lucy. Barrister Lucy is the senior associate and managing lawyer of the Family Law Division at the Osuji and Smith Lawyers. She practices in family law, divorce, employment, and labor law, and civic litigation. She also serves as a board chair and a volunteer lawyer at Ruth's House, where she advocates for family, women undergoing various kinds of family violence. Um, Barrister Lucy was recognized as the 2025 Professional of the Year by Afro-Caribbean communities. Barrister Lucy, you're welcome today. Thank you so much for always being on this platform. So the floor is open to you as always, educators, on what we need to know about this topic today.
Good afternoon, Victoria. Thank you again for such a warm welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, Sharon, and everybody else who is going to be watching this session. Today is June 18, 2026, and I know that we have had ongoing sessions on family law issues. And one thing that continues to motivate me is the fact that people are always willing to participate in these sessions. So it feels very productive. And to be honest with you, I have received personal communications from individuals in our Afro-Caribbean communities and even outside of those communities who wish to know more or who are requiring some guidance on issues that are facing. So this is a good platform, and I do applaud Roots House for creating this platform. And hopefully we can continue like this and have more lawyers to come on here and just provide some information to the public. Well, okay. Wow, lots of people are joining,
Yeah.
and good afternoon to everyone. We are right on time. Today's topic is relating to parenting matters. And when we talk about parenting matters, it's a very broad topic because it involves different aspects of parenting. But the umbrella issue is parenting, right? Under this topic, we're going to be talking about how parenting arrangements are determined, what factors influence them, whether you're going through the court or through mediation, or whether you're trying to attempt resolution on your own with the other party for those who are not able to have representation. Another aspect of parenting is also decision making, which will vary depending on what structure the parties agree on. And then we have the schedule of the parenting arrangement, meaning that what does the father schedule with the children look like? What does the mother schedule with the children look like? Is there a grandmother or grandfather who is involved, or auntie who wants time with the children as well? Are the parties open to that? We also talk about travel under parenting issues, and that involves domestic and international travel, domestic being any travel within Canada. Um, and then international travel involves traveling outside of Canada with the children. The parents could always travel on their own, but when they have to take a child who is under 18 with them, there are certain processes that have to be followed, particularly if the parties are separated. But before I go into parenting, I'm going to start with relationship dynamics, because even though parenting is the topic for today, however, the kind of relationship that existed between the parties will influence how certain things are looked at or the circumstances that are looked at. Um, Now we have marriage, which is the union between a man and a woman as spouses. And then we have adult interdependent relationships, which are commonly referred to as common law, right? And then we also have relationships where they were not, exclusive, but they have children. So those do not fall under a marriage, and they are not common law because the parties are not living together. However, they have children and they have to co-parent. Do you want me to go into questions? Do you have any questions, or do you want me to just talk? Because
Okay,
I'll
so
prefer questions.
so
I
let's do
have
it this
my,
way.
yeah.
Give us like a background into the topic, and
Mm,
then let's do that for the next 10 minutes, and then the question comes in, and then we tackle it as we go.
sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm, I'm going to share 5 documents today, and those are templates or guides that will enable anyone to address or get a head start into addressing like a divorce proceeding through the courts. It applies to situations where there are children and situations where there are no children. Another document that I'm going to share is a 2-page document which I have compiled with the help of Calgary Legal Guardians to put together resources that are available in Calgary to assist with family matters, not just legal family matters, but say if you're looking for counseling for yourself or the children, you're looking for shelter resources, you're looking for some free legal advice, if you pro bono legal services, you can go through that list and pick one. If you're also looking to access some court resources, they're all tabled on these documents, which I'm going to share right now through the chat. So if you have few minutes, please download them into your computer or your phone. They're needed. We rely on them. They are available for everyone in the Calgary area, so please make use of them. And then the other 4 documents that I shared are just step-by-step instructions on how to advance the divorce action. So technically, I'm giving you free legal advice right now through those documents. I've shared them through the chats. Another thing that I'm going to share is the link to the Parenting After Separation course, because that is a mandatory requirement for all parenting applications and divorce matters where children are involved. I have shared that link as well in the chat. And then there's a second part of it. We have 2 Parenting After Separation e-courses. We have the regular one, and then we have the one which is applicable where there is high conflict between the parties. And I have shared both links as well. If you are ever in doubt as to what resources you need or could access, please reach out to Ruth's house and they can either provide it to you directly, and if they need me to step in, I will provide it to them as well. Okay, now moving to parenting. If you are coming from a relationship, or if you are in a marriage, meaning that you went through a ceremony, you have a marriage certificate, whether it's from Canada or outside of Canada, you are legally married, your spouses. If you were to separate and deal with parenting matters, you will look into the Divorce Act, because that is what regulates that kind of relationship or that relationship dynamic. For parenting matters, you will go to Section 16 of the Divorce Act. If you're meeting with the lawyer will know exactly what to tell you in terms of the factors that are looked at. But because we are having a discussion today, I am going to go into those factors. Give me a sec. I'll just post them again in the chat so that we can all follow through. I like a discussion to be interactive. I have posted a list of factors. And the reason why I'm posting this is because when I'm talking, it's like words are just coming out of my mouth. And sometimes when we don't see those things, it's hard to capture them, while listening to me. This is not the first time we're talking about parenting. So now we're going to start sharing material that will help people review afterwards or refer to or say, okay, I have questions from this. I have shared what we call the best interest of the child principle. It contains a lot of factors that are looked at. For the Divorce Act, it's found under Section 16 of the Divorce Act. For the Family Law Act, which applies to parties who are not married. So if you're in a common law cohabitation relationship, or you had a casual relationship and have a child from it, you will go under the Family Law Act. For the best interest of the child principle, you find it under Section 18 of that Family Law Act. Those are the two statutory provisions that regulate parenting through the family courts. And the factors are the same, whether you had your children under a marriage or you didn't have them under a marriage, the factors that are looked at as the same. If you're going through the courts, the judge is looking at these factors. If you're retaining a lawyer, the lawyer is taking you through these same factors. If you're going through mediation or some community resource that is free, that is what they're looking at, because it's a fundamental principle when it comes to determining what parenting arrangement is appropriate for a child or children under the age of 18. So if we're to look at what I've shared in the chat, it's very clear on the factors. The first thing is the child's needs, right? We're looking at what are the ages of the children. If there's one child or two or three, we're looking at the ages of the children, what grades they are in, because those things that are particular to each child is going to influence the form of arrangement that is put in place for the child. If you have children who engage in so many extracurricular activities, you cannot ignore the fact that your parenting time could be affected by that structure. If you have a child who is on a spectrum, autism spectrum, you cannot also ignore the fact that you have to consider the child's routines when you're planning parenting arrangements for the child. So the unique needs of the child is very important. The needs of a 4-year-old is different from the needs of a 10-year-old or a 17-year-old child. So again, it's all about the child or the children. Another thing is the nature and strength of the child's relationship with each parent. If one parent has been more involved in caring for the children during the relationship or from the time when the children were born, you cannot ignore the fact that those children would likely want to spend more time with that parent, or that parent will be in a better position to have more time with the children compared to the other person who was spending less time with them. Sometimes it's unfortunate because when people are together in a relationship or marriage, there are different things to be considered. There's financial responsibility, there is homemaking responsibility. So based on the decision of the parties, they can say one person is financially responsible, and that responsibility takes that person out of the house more compared to the other person who is readily available for the home maintenance and everything, right? But then when you separate, unfortunately, those dynamics will have to be considered, because again, the relationship between each parent and the children is affected by what was going on during the relationship itself, right? Um, we're also looking at each parent's willingness to support the development and maintenance of the child's relationship with other parent. When we finalize court orders or parenting agreements, we talk about each parent encouraging the children or the child to build and foster a relationship with the other person. It's important for your child's well-being. Taking a child from a parent, keeping them from a parent, restraining that contact with the other parent, it's not helpful. We've seen that over and over, where children don't get a balanced relationship with both parents. And as they grow older, it affects them. It affects their functioning mentally, psychologically. It affects their relationship with people. So if you're leveraging it, if you're using your child as a bait, to get whatever you want to get out of the other person, you are going to spend a lot of time and stress and money in counseling to repair the damages that, it causes to those children. And they are children. They're not part of your relationship. They did not cause the grudge in your relationship. So please don't use children as bait. There's also consequences for that. If there is evidence to show that one parent is intentionally withholding the children from the other parent just because they want to use it and piss off the other person or punish them, the court could impose consequences on you, including financial consequences as well. Another aspect is the history of care. History of care meaning that from when the child or the children were born, who has been more involved? Like, we're not talking about, it just means who has been more hands-on with the children. If both parties have been equally available for the children, that is a good thing because then it shows that your children have that balance in the parenting relationship. Um, that the next thing that is looked at is the child's views. Now, views of children come with age. A 2-year-old doesn't really have a view because they're very young and they lack the ability to say, oh, I love mom because, or I want to stay with mom because of really objective reasons. It's not because mom lets me watch TV or something like that, right? Those external influences are there for younger children compared to older children. However, we do have the voice of the child, which is available for children 12 years and older. We're looking more of teenagers who have the ability to say that I would prefer to spend more time with mom or prefer to spend more time with dad because I have built a better relationship with dad or whatever. But the reasons have to be objective. They don't have to be biased. They don't have to be influenced by financial gains for the child, and which is why the court is not actually calling the child to the stand and asking the child what you prefer. The court is appointing or granting a court order for the appointment of counsel for the child through legal aid. Both parents pay for it, or one person could pay depending on financial circumstances as well. That lawyer is meeting with the child or the children separate from the parents, forming like an independent opinion on the child's preferences. Sometimes we have other professionals like psychologists and therapists who could be brought into that process just because, again, they need to get an independent um, perspective on the child's preference and make sure that the child is preferring something not because of a financial gain from one parent or what one parent has promised them, right? Once that is done, a report is prepared, and that report forms part of the evidence that is available for the court to review to say that, okay, I believe that we could start with this parenting arrangement at this time and then transition as things begin to change.
Okay.
Before I move to the next thing, I want to say that when it comes to parenting arrangements, it's not final. It's all based on the interim circumstances of the children. Because again, you can never know what is going to happen tomorrow. Your child could become 10 years old and want to change schools. Your child could become 12 years old and want to take violin lessons, or the mom could be the best parent today and tomorrow they are not, right? So those changes in circumstances influence the transitioning of the parenting arrangement until the children become 18, which is why court orders, we refer to them as interim for the meantime until something changes and we need to revisit the issues. Um, Now, there are other aspects that are looked at in terms of those factors. We have the child's cultural, linguistic, and religious upbringing. The heritage also matters. We have so much diversity in Canada, so of course that will be fundamental in determining a parenting arrangement for a child. We have the willingness and ability of each parent in respect of each parent to work with the other person, so that collaboration and cooperation between the parties is also important. There are Supreme Court cases that are very explicit on the fact that if the parents don't have a good relationship and cannot communicate, it's very impossible for them to make decisions jointly for their children, which means that shared parenting and joint decision making is not practicable. And in that situation, one person will have more time compared to the other person. If you're giving equal powers to people, they have to show that they have the ability to collaborate and cooperate for the best interests of their children. So if there's evidence to show that there's high conflict between the parties, for whatever reason, it means one person is going to have more time compared to the other person. So you better fix your relationship in terms of co-parenting if you want to have that joint force, right? And depending on what you're seeking. So the court looks at that as well, which is why again we've seen that there has to be a show of ability and willingness for both parents to co-parent and cooperate. It's an important factor. One fundamental thing which is there, and I think is the last point, is the occurrence of family violence. We have talked about this over and over the past 2 years. It forms a basis of all conversations by Ruth's House to the public because that is the focus. And the reason why we focus on the issue of family violence, its occurrence and abuse, is because we care for our people. We as Africans, as Black people in general, whether we're immigrants or we're born here, we face challenges all the time. We have social barriers that are already working against us in terms of race or sex or whatever religious reasons. We cannot have an increasing occurrence of family violence in these communities. It doesn't help us as a community or as a people. So the court is also in support of that, ensuring that the occurrence of family violence and abuse reduces in a Canadian society because it causes pain, it causes physical harm, it causes financial loss, it causes mental and psychological, cruelty and impact on our society as a whole, right? A child who witnesses violence growing up in a home could likely become a violent person themselves, whether it's male or female, because the brain keeps building on what it sees and then it reacts. So even if you say, oh, the child is gonna grow up and make their own decisions, or they're gonna go to counseling and therapy, how are you sure those things will work 100% to remove that trauma from the child? It means you're having a child who is growing up in a traumatic circumstance, and then they become an adult who is angry all the time. And no matter how much therapy and counseling they've gone through, at some point they could lose it in a way that causes harm to another person. Then you have the circle over and over, and it's not a good thing. So the occurrence of violence in a home is very fundamental in determining what parenting arrangement is appropriate for children. There has to be evidence that it's shown. So if there's a history of it, we have police reports, medical reports, but it also has to be substantial. So if you experience violence in a relationship, it's good that you record it. I know that we are prone to forgiveness, and so most of us are Christians. I mean, even if we are not Christians, forgiveness is a virtue. However, there is an impact of violence on not just us, the person experiencing it, but the people around us. Because again, for the children, and even if you don't have children, the continuing experience of abuse and violence, it causes that mental, psychological, emotional torture, which influences your behavior towards other people. So if you are experiencing such a situation and you are still in a relationship, please contact Root House or contact those resources that I have shared in the chat. If you have separated and you have those ongoing experiences, contact Root House. They'll reach out to one of the volunteer lawyers or me to help you out. But don't keep quiet. Don't try to get over it by yourself. Don't try to shut up for whatever reasons that may be making you feel like you don't have a voice. You do have a voice. You do have a community that is willing to assist you, and you need to speak up, because if we don't know, we cannot help, and we don't want to intervene when it's too late. We have had so many situations recently in Calgary, and it's not good. It's not good. Other people suffer when we don't take actions.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Thank you so much for this. We are really happy that you really made us understand this better. So I have a few questions We'll spend the next minute answering to questions. So I'll ask the questions that I have, and then I'll open the floor for every other person to ask their questions. Please, if you have a question, you can also do well to drop it in the chat box, and then I would read it out to Barrister Lucy if you feel more comfortable with that. But if you want to ask the question yourself, of course, I will let you do that. So, Barrister Lucy, what are the most common mistakes parents make during custody disputes that later affects the children emotionally, and how can those mistakes be avoided? And also, at what point does parenting arrangements stop serving the child's best interest and start serving the parents' preference? And how can parents recognize those differences?
Um, so all of those three questions, they have that question has three parts, but it targets the same thing. When people are in a relationship, long term or short term, and they separate, it's very obvious that they become caught up in the personal grudge that they have towards the other person. And sometimes they have children involved because not all relationships lead to children. But also sometimes before the parties separate, the children are old enough to not need a parenting arrangement, meaning they're over the age of 18. However, one thing that I emphasize in my public speakings and my consultations is the fact that as individuals, we need to learn to fight our personal interests. It starts with the parent. Remember that these children are young, they don't come to the courthouse. They are depending on you to make decisions for them. They are depending on you to fight for them. They are depending on you to take steps that are in their best interest. So the children themselves cannot advance their best interest, which means that you, as both parents, have the full responsibility and ability to make decisions for your kids. The best interest of the child is not for the child to enforce, it's for the parents to look at them and say, based on these things, what circumstances can we put in place that are good for our children? Most times, people are not willing to give up anything for the best interest of their children, which is why the courts, when the courts take over a matter in terms of a parenting application that is within the control of the court, and the judge now assumes the responsibility of making sure that the best interest of the child or children is enforced because the parents have lost that ability. If you guys are going through mediation, as individuals, you have to think and be very honest with yourself. I'll give you examples. And these are generic examples, no specifics or no offense intended. Most times women are the homemakers. Even if they have a job, whether it's part-time or full-time or two jobs, they are usually largely responsible for caring for the children during a relationship. So when the parties now separate, it is okay for that person to continue caring for the children, because at the end of the day, the priority should be the upbringing of the children, not whether or not you are shoving it to the other person's face that you are more capable. You having more time with the children doesn't outrightly mean that you're the best parent or the better parent. It just means that the circumstances allow you to have more time. So if people were honest with themselves and say that my work schedule as a mom or a dad cannot permit me to have 50-50 parenting for my children, that honesty will help your children. But most times people don't want to, because again, parenting arrangement influences child support. So there's a financial gain. And the person who is thinking, I have to fight for shared parenting, is doing that because they don't want to pay an increased amount of child support. But then they take the child for a shared parenting 50-50 arrangement. And half of the time, they are not there to care for their children. They're leaving the children with some third party who can be a neighbor or a friend. They're leaving the children in daycare, or some that bringing in a caregiver or nanny or whatever if they have the money to do so. Or some people take their children to work, leave their children there while they're working. You're driving around town with your children in an Uber or taxi or something that is so weird. Who do you think is suffering? Your children are suffering. And it's not in the best interest of your children to do that. So just because you want to shove it to the other person or try to avoid paying few hundreds of dollars, you're going to spend way more money after that to repair your children's well-being. Now, um, if you can work out parenting arrangements between you, do it. But if you go to a court and say that, please make a decision for my children in terms of what parenting arrangement is appropriate, you cannot now dispute on what the judge is offering. Unless you have reasons to say that based on the evidence that I provided to the court in my affidavit and my application, the judge made an error. You can appeal the decision. But if there's evidence to show that the mom or the dad should have more time with the children, the judge is going to make that decision whether you like it or not. It's not to please you, it's to make sure your children are okay. Because when they become, 18 years old and adults, they are no longer your responsibility. They are the responsibility of the Canadian society. So nobody, if something happens to them or they do something, you're not going to get arrested. They are going to get arrested. And the government system in Canada is going to be responsible for that adult. Do you think they want that? They don't want that. So they start intervening at the time when the children are younger, and they intervene through the parents, they intervene through parenting arrangements. So again, to that question, when it comes to the interest of the child, it's the parents who have control. If each of them is willing to let go of that personal interest and focus on what is good for the children, it's a good thing. But the lawyer is not there for you. The lawyer cannot really impose anything on you, or the lawyer can only advise you, but they cannot make decisions for you. So when does it stop being about the child? It doesn't stop. It's always about the children. It just depends on how you're handling it. If you go before the judge takes that responsibility. If you don't go before the court cannot intervene, which means you have the responsibility to make best decisions. Are you making good decisions for your children, or are you advancing your own personal interest? Is the other person kind of manipulating you into something that you don't think is appropriate for your children? Or do they have some form of control in terms of mental or physical control against you that can influence it? That's when you bring in a third party, either as a lawyer or you go to Ruth's house or another organization to help you communicate or cut off that barrier in terms of communication. Most times, some people don't have the ability to say no to the other person. Just because, again, the relationship dynamic. If there was an increased family violence and abuse, it's it usually happens that it has affected the confidence of that person, the mental, physical, emotional stability of that person. So now when they're negotiating on a parenting arrangement, they already have a disadvantage because they have fear in them. They feel like if they don't please the other person who, carried out this act of violence on them, they could be abused more. So all of those things, that's where you bring in a third party to advocate on your behalf. If these are your circumstances, please don't go through it alone. It could be hard.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister Lucy. Another question. How can immigrants, newcomers, or culturally diverse families navigate custody and parenting arrangements when their cultural experience and expectation differ from the Canadian family law principles?
Yeah. Um, I remember some sessions ago we talked about misconceptions. I have found myself lately talking about it a lot. And again, it's not just on these sessions that we talk about those misconceptions. We also have started highlighting it a lot when we prepare family court documents. This has also become a pertinent subject when we, as judges and lawyers, meet for our town hall meetings to talk about, upholding the rule of law to ensure increased access to justice. Um, and the reason why that conversation is increasing is because Canada, we we've seen that is very diverse. So when you have a society that is very diverse, you cannot escape the addressing of cultural, religious values as well. However, again, when we think of the systems that we have in place, whether it's the court legal system, family court, whatever, even social welfare and all of those other systems, um, you have to access them for them to help you. It's unfortunate, but that's how it works. Because at the end of the day, a lawyer is not coming to your house to meet you. A lawyer is not randomly finding out about your case, while walking on the street. Let's forget lawyers. Let's go to advocates like myself and Ruth's House organization with different organizations in our society. We don't know what you're going through until you come to us. So if there's something stopping you from coming to us, and that is within your control, then we cannot really help. If you want to access help, sometimes you have to let go of what you know. Now I'm going to move back to immigration and the, continuing fight for us to change or adjust our mentality. I'm an African child. I was born in Cameroon and I moved here after high school. When I immigrated to Canada, there were some things that I knew, and I faced a lot of challenges in college. I went to college in Brampton, and there were things that I knew that even when I went to York University for my undergrad and I did my law education, those things have continued to follow me even now as a lawyer, because I was raised under a different cultural system and value compared to what I see here. However, I had to unlearn certain things. I'm not living in Cameroon. If I wanted to be stuck to the values and cultural expectations or systemic expectations in Cameroon, I would have stayed there. I decided on my parents made that choice to bring me over into a new society. Am I saying that forget everything you know? No, that's not what I'm saying. Am I saying assimilate or change yourself to become a Canadian? No, I'm not saying that. However, if you find yourself in a society and you want to benefit from what that society offers, you have to be honest to yourself and tell yourself that I need to step into that society. I cannot be stuck in what I am and what I know and what I bring and expect the society to adjust to me. They didn't come to me, I came to them. So when it comes to cultural expectations, there are certain things that are restraining or, they limit our ability to access resources in Calgary, Alberta, or whatever. And there are certain things that are good. Cultural values, in my opinion, are supposed to form a fundamental, but they're not supposed to be the absolute. Because again, you're supposed to open up to your environment and accept it. You can't come to Canada and expect Canada to adjust to you. If you're experiencing family violence, it's not a cultural thing. There is no culture that will positively advance the occurrence of family violence. We've seen it. Even in Nigeria, even in Cameroon, we have those fights happening. So is it right to beat somebody up? Is it right to take somebody's money and use it for your girlfriend? Is it right to tell somebody not to work just because you don't want them to grow and challenge you? Is it right to tell somebody to shut up even if they're saying something right? Is it okay to tell somebody you're ugly? Oh, you cannot do more than this. That's how you are. You're useless. And insult them. There is no positive outcome from those things. So any culture that encourages those things, I don't see how that culture is correct, or any religion that promotes those kind of behavior. I don't see why you should hold on to it. And also, evolution happens for a reason. There's a reason why we're advancing as a society. And it's not just in Canada, it's not just for Black people that these things happen. You know, or Yoruba people experience violence too. Asians, Indian people, everybody experiences violence. It's a world universal thing. If it's wrong, we have to be honest that it is wrong. That's why we have advocates. If not, we're making the jobs of advocacy very hard. We're saying that we want change in a society. Want women to go to school. We want women to work. We want equal pay, or similar pay. We want women to be given leadership roles, but we cannot remove the religious beliefs and cultural beliefs that says that a woman is not supposed to be beaten up or locked up or threatened by him. No, we can't choose one and leave another. It has to be a holistic approach. So if you're an immigrant who has been subjected to a cultural or religious belief, from where you're coming, it's not okay for you to stick to all of that belief. You have to be honest to yourself, and you have to choose yourself. You have to choose safety for yourself and your children, because the only people who suffer are the people receiving the bad behavior. The person dishing it out also suffers. And we have Roots House. For Roots House, we do programs for both the victim and the perpetrator. There's a reason for that holistic approach, because when you're healing and supporting a victim, you also try to support and heal and rehabilitate the perpetrator, so that there is a unity healing. We can't abandon one person. We should start letting go of those beliefs. Some of them are not good for us. And it's not just for immigrants, it's everybody. We have traditions in Canada that I've experienced from clients who are not Black, saying the same thing. I was raised to shut up. I was raised in a religious home where I cannot speak. So when my husband gives me a slap and says, "Keep quiet, woman," I keep quiet. And then I put makeup on it. It happens to everybody. It's not an immigrant thing. It's not a Black people thing. It's the men who get beaten by women too. So it's not even a gender thing anymore, but we have to fight it as a society, which starts with changing our perception and our understanding of what is good and what is not good.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Barrister Lucy. Thank you. Please, the floor is open. If you have any question, please, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. And if you feel more comfortable dropping it in the chat, please do well to do that, and I'll read it out. Thank you. So anybody have a question? Anybody?
Yeah, hi.
Okay.
Hi, Foma.
Yeah, thank you for your insight. Does
You're
Root House support someone who is being going through separation with lawyer, or what support does the person can get from Root House? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to answer a part of that question, and then Victoria could follow up on that. So thank you for your question, Ifoma. Um, what as part of my contributions to Roots House as a volunteer lawyer, I do occasional 30 minutes free consultations. However, that referral has to come from Roots House. So in the event that you need something like that, you reach out to them and they will connect you with me.
Okay, so like she has said, Ruth House is here to walk you through situations like this to create a balance for every member of the family, the perpetrator, like she said, and the victim as well. So all you need to do is reach out to us. Cases are diverse, like no same situation for everybody. Everybody have different situations that are specific to them. So the best thing to do is reach out to us, and then you sit with the right caseworker or the right caseworker, as the case may be, and in respect to what your situation is, it will be tackled accordingly, and the best support will be provided. So we offer advocacy, like she says. We also offer shelter for those who needs it for the immediate. And also we have programs that are focused on both the perpetrators and the victim. So in all, Ruth House is here to serve the well-being of every family. So reach out to us if you have any issue or you know somebody going through dynamic situation that falls within the services that we offer. And also you can do well to check on the website. Every info that you need is in there, and you can get answers. Do well to call our numbers. We are always open to help with situations. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm sharing right now in the chat is the Calgary Legal Guardians information, because I do volunteer with them, so I'm very familiar with the system as well. I purely advise organization is a community resource for all Calgarians, whether you're immigrant or Black or of whatever race. It's free. I volunteer with them. We have so many lawyers who volunteer with them, and we work on a shift basis. I actually have my next shift is on Monday.
Oh.
Each shift that a lawyer completes is 3 hours with them. And during those 3 hours, we have 3 cases. So what happens is you phone them and you get booked into whether it's family law, divorce, or immigration, or civil, and criminal as well. And then they will schedule you in a time slot. Lawyers run through from 8:30 to 8 o'clock in the night, because that's the shift that I do. I do from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, sometimes 8:30 or 9 o'clock, which means that you have that access, that resource to access. You can get up to an hour of free legal advice on anything that you're dealing with. Even if you have a dog that is stuck, I had a case one time where they were fighting over a dog, but it's property. So when you separate, you have to determine pets and custody of pets. So for an hour, I'm mediating between, 2 parties for the custody of a dog. That is to tell you that these resources don't really judge you for what you're going through. You just have to access them. If you feel that there is something in terms of your beliefs, or you don't have a phone, or say you're afraid, talk to somebody. That's why we advocate for people's voices. We're not trying to cause conflict between people. We're just saying that it's important as individuals to speak up, because when you speak up, you gain the strength to make the other person who can be experiencing this having the same experience, to also have that courage to speak up. And that is how change happens. But when you don't speak up, you don't know who is experiencing that or who could benefit from your experience. Speaking up is strength. You need to show strength. If you're raising children in a home or a relationship where the strength is lacking, those children continue to suffer. They grow up in that environment and it impacts them. So it's not just about you, it's about everyone around you. And when something happens which is negative, we're only coming in after it has happened, which is too late, and there's nothing we can do. Plus, we have resources, don't waste them. Use it. This is a different time and era. It's 2026. People will not judge you for being Black if you go to the Women's Center. People will not judge you for being an immigrant if you phone Calgary Legal Guardians and say, I want a call with a lawyer. It's over the phone. You have the option of doing over the phone or going in person. Most community resources now have the anonymous lines. You don't have to even disclose your identity. I know that at the Women's Center, they don't ask for ID. And the reason is to maintain that anonymous, to conceal your identity. And even when you phone the Calgary Legal Guardians, you can give any name. Nobody is asking you to verify your ID. That's to show you that we are open to accommodating any cultural or religious beliefs that could make you feel afraid to disclose your identity. If you reach out to Ruth's house, they will deal with you. It's all internal. Nobody is having that information. If they share it with me, by my profession as a lawyer, I'm expected to keep things confidential. Even if I know you, by virtue of my profession, and personally, I will not disclose it to anybody because you could sue me for that, right? So again, there are ways to go about these things. If you are not sure, speak to someone, but it's way better than keeping quiet.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Any other question, please? Do we have any other question? None?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
there's one thing that I wanted to talk about for Saturday.
All right.
On Saturday, we have a collective presentation which is going to run from 9 o'clock until around 2 p.m. On that presentation, it's going to be online. You can blank out your name, which means that nobody's going to know you're on there. You can use is, any name. If you want to put Kat, you can put Kat. But this will have me on it. It will have Pastor D on it. It will have Dr. Ben, who is a counselor. It will have Alhaji Aziz, who is from the Muslim community. And there's another person, Mrs. Ifena, I believe, that few of us, I think about 6 of us or so, I will be speaking from the legal standpoint. They will be speaking from religious and community standpoint, and also health and wellness. We are here to build our communities. You have to let us help you. There's a reason why we go to school. There's a reason why we learn. So please let us intervene and help.
Thank you
You
so
can
much.
check out Roots House social medias. You see the Zoom link. I
Okay.
also have it on my socials. I'm on Instagram at Lucy Dale Mewanu. LinkedIn is there as well. The Zoom link will be available for every individual to access it, male or female. It's going to be a general discussion for the Black communities, the immigrant communities. It's going to be from a Christian perspective, a Muslim perspective, a non-believer perspective. So please join.
Okay. I believe there's no other question. Okay. That's that for questions. So I would like to draw the curtain for today's conversation. Barrister Lucy, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for always. Sessions with you are always educative and enlightening. You break it down in lay terms for us to understand. Thank you so much. We appreciate. Thank you for volunteering with Ruth House to do this. We are grateful. It's a blessing to have you. Thank you. On that note, I would like
Sorry,
to.
Victoria,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
I just, we have a couple of minutes, so I'm just going to share something quickly.
Great. Yeah.
Because I recall in the last session, I believe it was last month, someone had asked a question about it, but we didn't have sufficient time to
Okay.
touch on it. There is a new arm of practice called the tort for intimate partner violence, which means that the increasing occurrence of violence in our society, particularly from relationships between, domestic partners, has led to the fact that they have implemented a civil action for it. You can actually sue somebody for it and recover money. It's no longer about just getting a protection order or a restraining order in family court. It's also about suing them in civil court for money, for the damages that they cause to you, whether it's physical, mental, psychological, emotional, or financial damage, that people will take your money and use it for whatever because they think you guys are in a relationship or a marriage. So that is the change that our society is experiencing, and it is good change so that we can have options to make sure that people who experience violence are getting support, and also to deter and stop people from carrying out violence against other people.
Okay.
Yes. So even if you're going through a separation and you have a divorce matter through which you have a parenting child support matter, you can also file that civil action at the same time for any family violence against the person who did it to you.
Okay, so I can see a question in the chat box. This person say, how does this work in parenting and child support?
Now that
You
is a
said you
civil,
just answered it, but you can just briefly go over it for what it is.
she said okay.
Yeah.
So now, for those who know, we got a new system implemented this January 2nd, 2026, because before we went on Christmas last year, we had discussions in the family court system, justice system, where we had been discussing the new family focus protocol, FFP, that was supposed to become effective starting January this year. And the day after New Year, boom, it started. So the new family court system in Alberta is referred to as the family focused protocol. It's not very different from what we had in place, but then structure is different, meaning that when you're going through a separation, you have to, first of all, do your mandatory requirements, which involves one, the parenting after separation e-court certificate if you have children. I've shared the links in the chat. The second thing is if you are looking to deal with child support or spousal support or partner support or property, you need to exchange financial disclosure. That's item 2. And then you have to attempt some form of alternative dispute resolution, whether it's through mediation or family court counselors. We did talk about the family court counselors last month. You can find them at the courthouse. If you are not sure on how to get to them, go to the courthouse anywhere, Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton, wherever you are, go to your courthouse and ask to be connected to them. They are free, they don't charge you, but they will help you. Once you've done those mandatory requirements, then you complete your next steps. However, if you don't have children, you don't need a parenting after separation in court. So the full structure is available on the Calgary Court website. If you are not sure, contact Ruth's house and they will reach out to me for you. Or again, if you are not sure, phone the Calgary Legal Guardians, which is fully legal. It's a legal service, so they're there to provide you with legal information. Don't waste that 1 hour that you can get. And the good thing is that you can book them as many times as possible. There is no limitation on how many times you can book a session with a lawyer through the Calgary Legal Guardians. But thank you, Victoria, for the few minutes that you gave me. And thank you, XT, for your question. That was very... Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone. We have come to the end of today's section. Thank you for always joining. Ruth House appreciates your presence and your joining the conversation always. Thank you very much. Just to emphasize, we had said that over and over again, but just to emphasize again, please, if you have issues that around the services that Ruth House offer, please do well to call us. We are here to walk you through you don't have to walk alone. Ruth House is here to give you all the support that you need, not just for you, but for every member of your family. This, in a way, will help us maintain stability in family and at least reduce the level of family violence that's going on. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Big love from Ruth House. Thank you. Thank you. Barrister Lucy, thank you for always. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining and listening.
You
See
have
you
a
next
good day.
month.
Bye. Thank you.